In the misty embrace of Greyhaven, Oregon, where the Pacific Ocean whispered secrets to the jagged cliffs, 16-year-old Mia Caldwell pedaled her bike along the winding coastal road. The town was a forgotten speck on the map, population barely scraping 200 souls, most of whom clung to the sea for their livelihood. Fishing boats bobbed in the harbor like weary ghosts, and the air always carried the tang of salt mixed with the damp earthiness of perpetual fog. Mia had lived here her whole life, in a weathered cottage perched on a bluff overlooking the waves. Her days revolved around the seaside diner, a family-owned spot where her parents flipped burgers and poured coffee for locals and the occasional lost tourist. Mia was a quiet girl, with long auburn hair often tied back in a practical ponytail and eyes that held the stormy gray of the ocean. She wasn't one for crowds or drama. She preferred the solitude of her bike rides, the rhythm of the pedals syncing with her thoughts. School had just let out for the summer, and she'd taken on extra shifts at the diner to save up for a used camera. She dreamed of capturing the town's eerie beauty in photographs. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in bruised purples and oranges, Mia clocked out at 9 p.m. The diner was empty, save for the hum of the fluorescent lights and the faint clatter of her mom washing dishes in the back. "See you at home, sweetie," her mom called, her voice muffled by the swinging kitchen door. Her dad had already left to check on the boat, leaving her to lock up. She stepped outside, the fog rolling in like a living thing, swallowing the neon sign that flickered open into obscurity. Hopping on her bike, she started the 3-mile trek home. The road hugged the coastline, flanked on one side by dense pine forests that seemed to lean in, their branches scratching at the air, and on the other by sheer drops to the rocky shore below. Streetlights were sparse, casting feeble pools of yellow light that the mist devoured hungrily. As she pedaled, the only sounds were the crunch of gravel under her tires and the distant crash of waves. Mia hummed a tune to herself, something soft and melodic from her playlist. Though she didn't have her earbuds in tonight, the fog made her cautious about distractions. About halfway home, near a bend where the road narrowed and the trees pressed closer, something glinted in the beam of her bike's headlight. She slowed, her curiosity piqued. Dismounting, she leaned her bike against a guardrail and knelt down. There, half buried in the damp soil beside the pavement, was a small, weathered coin. It wasn't like any she'd seen before, not a quarter or dime, but something older, tarnished silver, with a strange symbol etched into its surface, a swirling pattern that looked like intertwined thorns, or perhaps a crude map. Mia picked it up, turning it over in her palm. It felt cold, heavier than it should. The symbol sent a faint shiver down her spine when she brushed it off as the chill of the evening. "Probably just junk from a tourist," she muttered, pocketing it. She glanced around, but the fog obscured everything beyond a few feet. The forest was silent, unnaturally so. No rustle of leaves or calls from nocturnal creatures. Shrugging, she remounted her bike and continued on, the coin a forgotten weight in her jeans. Arriving home, Mia parked her bike in the shed and slipped inside. The cottage was cozy, with creaky wooden floors and walls adorned with faded photos of happier times. Her parents young and laughing on the beach, Mia as a toddler, building sandcastles. Her room was upstairs, a small attic space with a window facing the sea. She changed into pajamas and sat at her desk, pulling out the coin to examine it under the lamp. Up close, the symbol seemed deliberate, almost ritualistic. Intrigued, she grabbed her laptop and typed "strange coin with thorn symbol, Oregon," into the search bar. The results were sparse at first, numismatic forums discussing ancient currencies, but then she stumbled upon a local history blog. It mentioned a legend from Greyhaven's past, the Drifter, a shadowy figure said to wander the coasts in the 1800s, leaving behind cursed tokens for those he marked. According to the tales, the drifter was a shipwreck survivor driven mad by isolation who blamed the town for not saving his crew. He'd vanish into the fog, only to reappear during stormy nights, luring people to their doom with enigmatic objects. Mia chuckled nervously. "Old wives' tales," she said aloud, but the room felt colder. She set the coin on her nightstand and climbed into bed, the fog pressing against her window like a veil. Sleep came fitfully, dreams fragmented by whispers she couldn't quite make out. In the morning, Mia awoke to the sound of rain pattering on the roof. She reached for her phone, but her hand brushed the nightstand. And there, beside the original coin, was another one, identical in every way, its symbol gleaming as if freshly carved. Her heart skipped. She hadn't heard anyone enter the house. Rushing downstairs, she checked the doors, all locked. Her parents were still asleep. How had it gotten there? Peering out the front door, she scanned the misty yard. Nothing stirred. But as she closed the door, a faint shadow flickered at the edge of her vision, darting behind the shed. She blinked, and it was gone. Was someone out there, watching her? Mia stared at the two coins on her nightstand, their identical symbols mocking her confusion. The morning light filtered through the fog-shrouded window, casting eerie patterns on the floor. She shook her head, trying to rationalize it. Maybe her dad had found one too and placed it there as a joke? But he wasn't the pranking type. Slipping them into her drawer, she headed downstairs for breakfast. The kitchen smelled of coffee and toast. Her mom was humming while scrambling eggs. "Morning, Mom. Did you or Dad come into my room last night?" Mia asked casually, pouring orange juice. Her mom glanced up, eyebrows furrowed. "No? Why? Everything okay?" "Yeah, just thought I heard something." Mia decided not to mention the coins yet. She didn't want to worry them over nothing. After a quick meal, she biked to the diner for her midday shift. The coastal road felt different in daylight, less menacing, with seagulls wheeling overhead and the occasional car passing by. At the diner, a squat building with peeling blue paint and a sign that read "Seaside Eats, Best Clam Chowder in Greyhaven." Mia tied on her apron and started wiping tables. Her co-worker, Ethan, was already there, restocking the napkin dispensers. He was 17, with tousled blonde hair and a perpetual grin that made him popular with the customers. They'd been friends since elementary school, though Mia often found his optimism grating against her more reserved nature. "Hey, Mia, you look like you saw a ghost. Rough night?" She hesitated, then pulled out one of the coins from her pocket. "Found this on the road home last night, and another one appeared in my room this morning. Weird, right?" Ethan examined it, squinting. "Looks old. Maybe from a shipwreck? Greyhaven's full of that stuff. Or hey, could be tied to the drifter legend. You know, that creepy story about the guy who leaves tokens before snatching people?" Mia's stomach twisted. "I read about that online, but it's just a myth." Ethan laughed, handing it back. "Probably. But seriously, if you're spooked, I can give you a ride home tonight. My truck's parked out back." She smiled faintly. "Thanks, but I'll be fine." The shift picked up as locals trickled in, fishermen with weathered faces sharing tales of the sea. Mia served coffee and pies, her mind drifting back to the coins. During a lull, she slipped out to the back alley for a break. There, nestled in the gravel near the dumpster, was something metallic glinting in the sun. Her breath caught. Bending down, she picked up a rusted key, its bow etched with the same thorn-like symbol. This couldn't be coincidence. She shoved it into her pocket, glancing around. The alley was empty, but the fog lingered at the edges, hiding the forest beyond. Back inside, she showed it to Ethan. "Another one? Okay, that's freaky. Maybe someone's messing with you, like a prank from school? But who? I don't have enemies." Mia's voice trembled slightly. The rest of the day blurred by, her nerves frayed. As closing time approached, the sky darkened and the fog thickened once more. Ethan offered the ride again, but Mia insisted on biking. She needed the air to clear her head. Pedaling home, the road seemed longer, the mist swirling like fingers reaching out. About a mile in, she heard it, soft footsteps crunching on the gravel behind her. She pedaled faster, but the sound kept pace, rhythmic and deliberate. Glancing over her shoulder, she saw nothing but fog. "Hello?" she called, her voice echoing oddly. No answer. Heart pounding, she pushed harder, the bike chain clicking frantically. The footsteps faded, but unease clung to her like the damp air. Finally, home, she burst inside, locking the door. Her dog, a scruffy terrier named Scout, greeted her with wags, but suddenly froze, ears perked toward the backyard. A low growl rumbled from his throat. "What's wrong, boy?" Mia whispered, peering out the window. The yard was shrouded in mist, but there, in the soft mud near the fence, was a fresh footprint, larger than hers, boot-shaped, pointing toward the house. She backed away, chills racing up her arms. Scout barked once, sharply. Mia grabbed her phone, debating whether to call her parents, who were still at the diner closing up. Before she could decide, the device buzzed in her hand. An unknown number. The message? A single word. Closer. The word closer stared back at Mia from her phone screen, sending a wave of nausea through her. She deleted the message immediately, as if that could erase the threat. Scout whined at her feet, his eyes fixed on the backyard. Mia double-checked the locks and drew the curtains, but sleep evaded her that night. Every creak of the old house amplified her fears, and she kept the coins and key hidden in her drawer, unwilling to alarm her parents yet. The next morning, Greyhaven was blanketed in a light drizzle, the kind that soaked through clothes without mercy. Mia skipped breakfast and biked straight to the town's library, a quaint stone building nestled among ancient oaks. It was one of the few places in Greyhaven that felt timeless, with shelves groaning under dusty tomes and the scent of aged paper hanging in the air. Mrs. Hargrove, the librarian, greeted her with a warm smile. She was in her 60s, with wire-rimmed glasses and a bun of silver hair, known for her encyclopedic knowledge of local lore. "Mia Caldwell, haven't seen you since last summer's book fair. What brings you in on a dreary day like this?" "I'm researching some old town legends," Mia said, keeping her voice steady. "Specifically, anything about the Drifter." Mrs. Hargrove's expression shifted, a flicker of concern crossing her face. "Ah, the Drifter. Not many ask about that anymore. Follow me." She led Mia to a back room reserved for archives, pulling out a faded file folder labeled Greyhaven Mysteries. Inside were yellowed newspaper clippings from the 1980s, detailing a string of disappearances. One article caught Mia's eye. A 16-year-old girl named Leela Thorne had vanished after finding strange objects, a coin and a key, along the coastal road. The symbol matched the ones Mia had found. "This says Leela was last seen near the old pier," Mia read aloud, "and there were rumors of a drifter leaving cursed tokens as warnings." The librarian nodded gravely. "The case went cold. Some say it was a cult, folks who worshipped the sea or something. Darker. They vanished around the same time.
But be careful digging into this, dear. Greyhaven has long memories. Mia photographed the articles with her phone, her mind racing. Was history repeating itself? Back at the diner for her shift, the place buzzed with lunchtime chatter. Ethan noticed her distraction. "You okay? You look pale." She confided about the library findings, showing him the photos. "This Leela girl, she was my age, and the objects are the same." Ethan whistled low. Creepy. Maybe talk to the sheriff. Before Mia could respond, a new customer entered. A tall man in a rain-slicked coat, his face shadowed by a hood. He sat at the counter, ordering black coffee. As Mia served him, she felt his eyes on her, intense and unblinking. When he left, she cleared his spot and found a napkin with the thorn symbol scribbled in ink. Her hands shook as she pocketed it. The afternoon dragged, rain pounding the windows. Closing time came, but as Mia stepped outside, she froze. Her bike tires were slashed, rubber hanging in tatters. Panic surged. Who had done this? The parking lot was empty, fog creeping in. She had no choice but to walk home. The 3 miles stretched into an eternity of dread.
With her bike useless, Mia shouldered her bag and started the long walk home, the slashed tires a stark warning echoing in her mind. The coastal road was desolate at dusk, the rain easing into a persistent mist that blurred the line between sea and sky. Every shadow seemed alive, every rustle in the underbrush a potential threat. She clutched her phone like a lifeline, thumb hovering over the emergency dial. Half a mile in, the footsteps returned, faint at first, then growing bolder, echoing off the cliffs. Mia quickened her pace, heart hammering. "Who's there?" she shouted, her voice swallowed by the fog. A low, distorted laughter answered, like wind through hollow bones. She broke into a jog, glancing back to see a fleeting silhouette. A figure in a tattered cloak, hood pulled low, vanishing into the mist as quickly as it appeared. Terror fueled her steps, but the laughter pursued, now closer, now farther, toying with her. The road curved sharply, and in her panic, Mia stumbled, scraping her knee on the pavement. Blood seeped through her jeans, but she pushed on. Headlights pierced the gloom ahead, a truck cresting the hill. She waved frantically, screaming for help. The vehicle slowed, an older man with a grizzled beard peering out. "You all right, kid?" he asked, rolling down the window. He was a local fisherman, Mr. Harlan, whom she'd seen at the diner. Mia gasped out her story, the footsteps, the laughter, the figure. Harlan's face paled. "Get in. I've heard tales like this before." As they drove, he shared his own encounter. Years ago, he'd found a similar coin on his boat right before his brother disappeared during a storm. They called it the Drifter's Curse. Thought it was superstition, but after Jake vanished, I ain't so sure. At Mia's house, Harlan waited until she was inside before driving off. Shaken, she locked up and checked her bag for her notes. Tucked inside was a photo of herself biking home the previous day, taken from afar through the fog. Someone had been watching her all along. The photo trembled in Mia's hands, a violation that made her skin crawl. It was printed on cheap paper, the edges curling, but the image was clear. Her on her bike, unaware. She showed it to her parents that night, spilling everything: the coins, the key, the messages, the pursuit. Her mom's face drained of color, her dad paced, muttering about calling the police. But as they discussed, Mia noticed their exchanged glances, heavy with unspoken secrets. "What aren't you telling me?" she demanded. Her dad sighed. "It's nothing, Mia, just old-town nonsense." Unsatisfied, she retreated to her room, Scout at her heels. The articles from the library nagged at her. Leela Thorne's disappearance linked to the diner somehow. Her family had owned it back then. A clue in one clipping mentioned an abandoned pier where Leela was last seen. The next day, after a tense shift where Ethan promised to watch her back, Mia biked to the pier at twilight. The structure was decrepit, planks rotting into the sea, fog wrapping it like a shroud. Exploring, she found a hidden alcove beneath the boards, a makeshift shrine of objects: coins, keys, napkins with symbols. Her breath caught. Then a voice from the shadows: "You found my collection. Now repay the debt." The figure emerged, cloaked, face obscured. But the voice... familiar? "Who are you?" Mia stammered. "A ghost of wrongs unrighted." The figure stepped closer, revealing not a drifter, but a woman in her 40s, eyes burning with rage. It was Leela's sister, Elena, long thought to have left town. "Your family covered up what happened to Leela. They knew the truth and buried it for their precious diner." Mia's world tilted. The figure, Elena, vanished into the fog, leaving a note: "You can't run forever." Elena's words haunted Mia as she raced home from the pier, the note crumpled in her fist. Confronting her parents that night, she laid out the evidence, the shrine, the identity. Tears streamed down her mom's face. "We didn't mean to hurt anyone," she confessed. 20 years ago, Lila had discovered the diner's owners, Mia's grandparents, were involved in smuggling, using the pier. Lila threatened to expose them. In a panic, they paid off a drifter to scare her away. But things went wrong. Lila fell from the cliffs, an accident covered up. Elena, seeking revenge, had returned, using the legend to terrorize Mia, the next generation. "She wants us to pay," her dad said. At the diner the next day, Mia spotted Elena among the customers. Confronting her in the alley, Elena revealed her plan: expose the cover-up unless the family left Greyhaven. "Your parents' sins are yours now." But as tensions peaked, a twist. Ethan overheard, confessing he'd known scraps from his own family ties to the smugglers. The web was deeper, involving half the town. Elena's ultimatum hung: leave or the truth destroys you all. Mia stood on the coastal cliffs, wind whipping her hair, facing Elena in the fading light. "This ends now," Mia said. Elena laughed bitterly, recounting the full story, how the smuggling ring included town officials, and Leela's death was no accident, but a push during an argument. Mia's parents arrived, drawn by her frantic call. Confessions poured out, regret, pleas for forgiveness. Elena wavered, her vengeance cracking under the weight of years. In a struggle near the edge, Elena slipped, grabbing Mia's hand. Mia pulled her back, choosing mercy. The police were called. The truth emerged, shaking Greyhaven. Elena was arrested, but her fate ambiguous, perhaps a plea deal. Mia's family faced consequences, selling the diner. Yet as Mia settled into a new normal, a fresh coin appeared in her room, symbol etched deep. Was Elena truly done, or had the cycle awakened something more?